Let me close by talking a little bit about what a free society should be all about. A lot of people don't quite understand when I talk about people being allowed to make choices on their own lifestyle. That worries them because they might make a bad choice, which is quite possible. But what happens when government makes the choice for you? They get involved in your education. They have control of the education. The TSA tells you what your kids can do. And I want that responsibility to be put back to the parents in charge of their kids and their education. But the thing, when you are challenged on this, what you should think about is the First Amendment. We have a First Amendment, and hardly anybody argues with me or anybody else about the First Amendment. It legalized freedom of thought. You know, even communist teachers are allowed to exist in controversial things because it's political free speech. And we don't have a First Amendment so we can talk about the weather. You know, it's not that. It's to legalize freedom of speech, but nobody forever says that if you support legalizing freedom of speech, you endorse the speech that they use. You don't endorse what they say. You just endorse the principle they have a right to say it. And this is what the responsibility is like when it's on the individual. You have a responsibility to your own. It's your life. It's your life and your liberty. It comes from you, from your God, not from your government. So where is the responsibility on good behavior? It's with the individual, it's with the family, it's with the parents, it's with the church. But believe me, government's not a very good source of teaching good values. The good values have to come from us. But freedom is something that America has been well known for. And yet, in these recent decades, I would say in the last several decades, we have lost our way. We care less about freedom than we do about the government taking care of us from cradle to grave. They will protect us, it's okay to sacrifice a bit of your liberty for security, especially since 9/11. I don't buy that. I don't think you have to sacrifice any liberty for your security. The one thing wonderful about freedom, as far as our country goes, it brings people together with different values, different religious and personal values, because it's non-confrontational. People aren't allowed to force anything on you, and government shouldn't force it on you as well. So freedom brings people together, and they're diverse, and that is the wonderful, magnificent part about a free society, is that it is not authoritarian. Say, you will do this and you will do this, whether it's in personal habits or whether it's economic habits. The liberals love to tell you what is fair and equal economically, but the principle is the same if somebody comes along and tells you, I don't want you to do this or that, and it would be better for your family if you didn't play cards or dance or whatever else. So a free society is, and the great part about a free society that we have forgotten about, it is the most productive society. And yet we're not productive and we're not wealthy. Which means that we are less free, and that is one of our major problems. The ideas of liberty these ideas are new. We've had the greatest experiment in the whole of history, but in 8,000 years of recorded history, we've only had a couple hundred years of really testing it. And yet, probably 95% of economic growth and well-being for the people have come with the advancement of freedom. And we in this country are about to give up on it because we have lost our convictions and understanding of how freedom works and why it depends on you as an individual. Every one of us is unique, and we don't get our rights because we belong to a group, but we get our rights because we're individuals. Individuals are the ones who claim rights, but not groups. When you live in a free society, what happens is there are restraints on the use of force, but it releases the creative energy. Because it's in a free society, you don't have tremendous growth and prosperity in a communist society. It suppresses everything. And we are being overburdened now more than ever before with big government and all the rules and regulations, so we are less productive. So the free society allows creativity. On a personal basis, it gives you the opportunity to do what is your personal responsibility. At least from my viewpoint, I think the purpose of life is to strive for virtue and excellence. That should be the goal. Now, there will be many on both ends of the spectrum that will say, well, yes, but government should do that too. But when government tries to promote virtue and excellence and make all the definitions and tell you what a fair economic distribution is, they cannot do it without undermining your liberties. So the key to it is understanding the value of the individual life and individuals, and to take that responsibility. Without the responsibility that is being assumed, it doesn't work. And of course, John Adams warned us about that. He says you have a free society, you have a republic, but if you do not assume these responsibilities, it won't work. And that's what our challenge is today. We are not quite willing to assume it, but let me say, as I started out, we are certainly moving in that direction, which makes me very happy about it. You know, Samuel Adams said that, you know, you don't have to worry. A lot of people worry, well, how are we ever going to get a majority to agree on this? You know, you don't need a majority. You need, what he said, was an irate, tireless minority willing to start the brush fires of freedom in the minds of man. And this I can report to you is where we are making great progress. There are many, many thousands of brush fires going on in this country. I would like to think that I have contributed a little bit, but one thing I can't tell you is I cannot tell you that I know how many there are, because every place I go, I find out there is another brush fire here, and more organizations and individuals who have caught on. Now, Samuel Adams had one bit more of advice about this fight, and he was in a much tougher fight than we are today. We at least know our traditions. But he gave us one advice. He says, no long faces. They were in tough times, and they were very pessimistic, and yet he said no long faces, which meant if you come and say, oh, what are we going to do? You know, it's not going to work. But there's every reason not to have a long face. Let us enjoy ourselves, because we know what America's all about. We know what freedom can deliver for us, and we know that the momentum is with us. One way I can tell you the momentum is with us, that all of a sudden I have noticed others who happen to be running for leadership are starting to use our language. Great. Good to see everybody.